Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So Kabam Crashed actually made an amazing post on September the 27th that I will be covering today in regards of, well, effectively the game economy and the stores and updates to rewards. And we're going to break it down bit by bit because he does address the loyalty store, glory store, battleground store, EQ, side quest arenas and stuff like that. And well, then we're going to discuss it a bit. Before I provide an update, I just want you to say players that tend to look at the game economy different than we do. We look at it holistically. Are players who engaged in the game progressing? The answer right now is definitely yes. Think about your own accounts compared to a year ago. If you play the game regularly, I guarantee you have made substantial progress regarding how much you are, regardless of how much you are spending. A larger portion of rewards have been focused on events this year. We do this because we see a clear signal that it drives more player engagement and focusing those rewards into our regular game modes. That doesn't mean they will never be updated, but it does mean that more of the baseline reward budget is going to come from special events and things like daily super event. And I do agree with that. I have definitely noticed it where these pop-up events do seemingly have better and better rewards, including T4 Alpha or whatever are the current game resources and shard yields. And it's one thing that we can never quote-unquote see in the future. And that's why it kind of feels a little bit more spotty on the glance, because if you take a look at, let's say, Battlegrounds, you know you're going to reach Player Circuit every season. You know you're going to be able to purchase X amount of materials from the Battleground store. And that is kind of a progression that you can quote-unquote count on. And when it is these events that pop up without, a large roadmap coming up, or at the very least without the reward distribution a year in the future, it gives you kind of a lot more uncertainty. But I do have to give it to Kabam that there have been significantly more rewards in events compared to the offers, even if most of the other game economy, in my opinion, is lagging a bit. But they do have the reasons for it, obviously. With that said, here are some specific updates. Loyalty store, I have said elsewhere that it will not be updated. Introduction materials into the loyalty store did not increase engagement in AW. The purpose of loyalty moving forward will be purchase AW consumables and maybe access the loyalty 7-star crystal. I say maybe because right now I am thinking about AW reward structure change, and I think we might depreciate that system as well. Eventually we will probably remove the rank materials ATC in the store. And this will cause mixed reaction, but to me, it also kind of makes sense. I'm not personally gonna, scream from the rooftops about loyalty store being outdated, because introducing more meaningful rewards in the loyalty store creates counteractive incentives. Because currently, vast majority of the loyalty come from Alliance War, so you earn loyalty by playing as high tier Alliance War as you possibly can, and that also, in order to be able to do well, requires you to spend loyalty for potions, for boosts and whatnot. And if you were to introduce significant rewards, there would be counteractive incentive not to use that loyalty for Alliance War. And in a way, you would be kind of penalized for trying to be active in Alliance War, because then you couldn't afford the materials that perhaps your teammates can. Like if you're doing 3-4 mini boss fights a war and you need to heal substantially more, and thus spend your loyalty more, you're pulling more weight in the Alliance War by clearing out more difficult fights, but because you use that loyalty, you lose out on rank up materials, because whoever ends up doing just their path fights, no mini boss fights, using bare minimum loyalty to do that, will effectively get the same season rewards as the player who's doing much more, and they could spend their loyalty purchasing rank up materials of meaningful value. So I kind of get that. I think it's fine what Kabam Crush is saying here. Again, I understand if you're coming from a different place, but it somewhat makes sense to me, because Alliance War is the most resource intensive one, where you constantly need heal. Like if you're thinking about it, Battlegrounds, you don't heal, you don't potion up and stuff like that. And if you do purchase, shields and reshuffles, you can do that with the Battlegrounds currency as well. And Alliance Quest as well, you don't really heal that much or use that much glory for the potions. So yeah, it kind of makes sense out of all the stores. No issues here. Glory store, this is next store up for an update. Should not be too long. Well, The only issue I have here with is this should not be too long. It means absolutely nothing. Because should not be too long for Kabam might mean half a year, it might mean 2 months, it might mean God knows what. So I would wish for a bit more clarity here, but I am happy to hear that the Glorious Sword update is coming. Now this last bit, I'm not entirely at peace with. Battlegrounds as a whole remains one of the most rewarding modes in the game, I do agree with that. We will continue to stagger rewards updates to the different channels. I will say that a good portion of the GC rewards budget is in trophy tokens, so don't agree with this take that it's been a year since GC rewards were updated. Updates to the BG store are also updates to the GC rewards. The problem with that is that the BG store is also not having access to the highest and sought after rewards. Right now, any active BG player isn't really struggling with being able to take up champions up to rank 2. BG Store and among other game modes do provide well enough for that. To be able to max out 6-star or to be able to rank 2 a 7-star, that's fine. We're obviously chasing the rank 3s. And there are very little compared to effort rewards of that. The only rank up materials, I believe, are in the Alliance rewards, which means that regardless of how much you grind and spend and how high you place, you don't really get the highest materials available in the game. And it certainly isn't rewarding the skill aspect of that. Like if you finish as high as you want in the Gladiator circuit, I do not think there are tier 4 alpha catalyst shards in it, or tier 4 alpha catalysts. It's exclusively in the Alliance event, which again entirely means how chunky of an alliance you are in, how whaley of an alliance you are in. But even finishing a top spot doesn't give you tier 4 alpha, and there is no tier 4 alpha in BG store. So GC rewards in itself, I think, are outdated, and this fallback argument to the BG store, well, the BG store also doesn't reward in a manner that it should. It's very solid for bulking up your roster, but it's non-existent when it comes to reaching the highest rank in the game that we have right now. And that should change sooner rather than later. Right now, Kabam at times include tier 4 alpha in some other events or some other ways to earn it for Battlegrounds. But again, that is uncertain, unclear, and there is no kind of predictability to that. And Kabam should change that. There should be either tier 4 alpha in the rank rewards, a meaningful amounts, or there should be tier 4 alpha ideally in the BG store. And the shard amounts, again, are not the greatest. Just because they updated the BG store like 7 months ago, it doesn't mean that it's in a good shape right now, with the rest of the game moving on. EQ and side quest. Rewards are fine for the difficulty level. We have some large changes planned for these modes. We are working on that will help us scale both difficulty and rewards in the future. Again, this is one of the most critical areas of the game. Side quest, I'm not gonna say anything. I think side quests are fine for what they are. Relatively low difficulty events with rewards that are getting updated on a monthly basis. And the truth of the matter is that side quests are more rewarding than just about any permanent game mode in the game for newer accounts and for newer and progressing players. And that's fine. They are fulfilling their role. The issue is the event quest. They're saying the rewards are fine for the level of difficulty. And that's exactly the problem. Because it is 2 difficulties behind. People are already asking for when I think we will have the next progression past Valiant. Now, I do think Valiant is still going to stay the top progression level for about half a year or so. But it doesn't change the fact that highest level of difficulty of EQ is Thronebreaker. Yes, we do have Paragauntlet, but even Paragauntlet, again, is a whole set of difficulty behind, and it's outdated. And now, as we are moving forward, I can reasonably agree to the statement that the rewards are fine for the difficulty. The problem is that the difficulty is borderline irrelevant, and so are the rewards for the event quest. More and more people are just flat out refusing to do event quest and Paragauntlet. I still try to do the event quest a month because I desperately do need more tier 2 Ascension dust, because my 7-star roster isn't as perfect or as great as I would like it to be. and I still rely a ton on Ascended champions, and with the changes to Alliance tactics and sagas and everything else, you do end up, ascending a lot of champions. And I do still need a lot of Ascension Dust. But that's literally the only reason. If you look at Thronebreaker difficulty, there isn't a single reward that I care about. There's hardly any, if any, 7-star shards in Thronebreaker EQ. There's hardly any tier 6 basics, tier 3 alphas, and there's definitely not tier 4 alpha in there, or tier 6 CC, or barely any. And then Paragauntlet has a bit of tier 6 CC, it has some 7-star shards, and it has the tier 2 Ascension Dust, which again are the rewards that are rapidly losing their value, with probably the exception of tier 2 Ascension Dust. So, versus, I will say side quests, fine. Make them however you make them. Try and make them as simple as possible, because I do think that side quests in general are overly convoluted. With event quest, I will disagree. I think event quest is on life support and needs urgent help, and it can't be something that goes far away. Arenas, I said in a different thread, you don't want us to update arenas. It will almost certainly result in lower unit yield per time spent than the current tuning. Part of this, when it comes to the milestone structure, I can agree. Because let's face it, getting all the milestones in arenas right now is significantly faster than it used to be, because our rosters are significantly bigger. And the point totals have not been updated. So that bit's fine. The rank reward bit is not fine, because you barely have any incentive to grind for, like, new arenas used to be so much more pivotal to the game in champion acquisition, but let's face it, 7-stars have been in the game now for a long time, and 6-stars are not the chase champions, really. And as somebody, who is playing the game actively, there's very little to incentive to grind for a 6-star, even if I want it, because eventually I'll get it from the featured crystal, because I can accumulate plenty of featured 6-star hero crystal shards, so that's fine. And again, if you do happen to open a cow crystal or get an early bundle, you can get a guaranteed 6-star, perhaps get a 7-star, and you're kind of late to the party anyways, because by the time you grind out arena, anybody who wanted that champion again has the early access bundle, has the 7-star, or at least a 6-star from that, or just from the endless amount of crystals that Kabam allows you to buy early now. So unit yield in arenas, I'd say fine. Rank rewards definitely need updating. 7-stars should be coming to the arenas without question. I think it's already overdue, in my opinion. Solo shards, I see this one a lot. Shards are a depreciated currency for endgame players. These crystals will not be updated. Why are there solo shards in daily super event then? Because when we took them out, CCP asked us to put them back in, but it'll just state it plainly. They are not endgame currency, never will be. Kind of fine. Just wish they, made a better final crystal for them, but it's a meaningless currency. They might as well just retire the entire currency, as far as I'm concerned. There's very, in my opinion, little value to them. And that's one of the things that I have been advocating for in general. Kabam has far too many things like solo shards in the game, like useless events, and the daily super event was great at consolidating a lot of that, but there is plenty of areas in game where, not everything needs to be successful, not everything needs to be continued and carry on, and I think solo shard is one of them. Whatever we get from those crystals, they can just, add in other crystals where those things are also available, or have those materials made available to us in, different means for some minuscule cost of glory or loyalty or battlegrounds currency, or, Mysterium, which is side quest loyalty. So, sorry, side quest currency. So again, I think they could just get rid of it. Honestly, there's very little need of it. I think that's what I can provide on updates right now, but those for calling for dramatic updates across the game, ask yourself, do you really want the game's economy to be moving faster than it currently is? Do you want the 7-star life cycle to be cut shorter for us to introduce new ranks sooner? Because that would be a result of updating every month in the game. And obviously there is some truth to it. I'm just tired for Kabam to use it as a constant scare tactic. 8-stars are nowhere close. 7-star lifespan is going to be very long, because they have a ton of ranks we can't even think to get to right now. And I think a lot of these complaints here, again, are largely because even just visually, let alone, a lot of these things are just seemingly not worth the effort or time anymore, which is what people are used to. Like, what's the best way to explain? At some point, Arena was major part of this game, and now its role has reduced. A lot of people are stuck on the idea that Arena has to be as important as ever. The fact of the matter is, not all game modes, not everything in the game can retain the same amount of space in the game and the same amount of relevance in the game if we're getting more things brought to the game. Like, what's the best way to try and explain? Back when we only had, let's say, arenas, side event, and story quest, effectively each one of those areas occupied, let's say, a third of the total in-game rewards. And then we started getting side quests. And then side quests took away a chunk from everything, and now it's a fourth. And then we got Alliance quest, and Alliance quest took away another chunk of the rewards that Kabam gives us. And War gave us, and Battlegrounds, and with everything added to the game, each individual level of importance in the game mode or area of the game is reduced. And some things we just kind of have to move away from. The same thing has happened with story content, where story content used to be significantly longer, significantly harder, with significantly bigger portion of rewards allocated to the story content. Now, its difficulty, its hype level, its relevance has reduced. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I do think it is fairly bad for the game when Kabam keeps it so cluttered and it makes it appear as if these game modes are completely abandoned. And in some cases, I think it would be even better if they would remove those things that are not working or people are hardly taking part in, so they can focus more on the game modes that players actually play, similar to themselves, so they can add in more rewards in the game modes that actually play. This game does not need 800 game modes and 100 new things added to it, and all of them being somewhat meaningless. This game needs a bit of culling of rewards and culling of content. Daily Super Event was a great example of it. Everybody loved it. It was much more simple, it was much more organized, and you were kind of more motivated to hit the targets every day in order to get those rewards because they were meaningful. They took away a bunch of things that very few people cared much, but in the result we got something new that's more significant, more relevant, and actually mattered more to us. Let me know what you guys think about this whole economy debate, but for most part, I kind of agree with Kabam Crashed with, again, a couple of pain points of updating Arena rank rewards, including 7 stars, should already have happened. Event quest is on life support, and it's pointless to pretend otherwise, as well as the Battleground store and Battleground situation in general, because, again, there's hardly any top-tier progression available to the most populous game mode in the game. Fine with loyalty store, would like to know the glory store thing, and solo shards, fine with that too. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about